Is
Anthony
on.
Aguilar. He's literally joining us from the halls of Congress in the United States. Thank you for being here, Anthony. We have been watching your heroism and your interviews with great interest and pride, and happy to see that there are great people out there who are not staying silent. And so, thank you for being here. And we are. I won't take more time. We would love to hear from you, and then we'll turn this into a discussion at your yeah. Please.
Um, well, I'm sure most of you know by now from seeing my um, different interviews and my latest interaction on the Capitol last week with being arrested out of the Foreign Affairs Committee. I'm I don't I don't consider myself brave or courageous. I think that the people of Gaza, the Palestinians who face bombs and starvation and disease and famine and desperation and dehumanization that still have the will to live and continue, that they're brave. I'm I'm merely a vessel in trying to express their voice so they can be heard. And it's I've today on the Hill, I've already had 4 meetings with congressmen and senators. I've got 4 more after this. But I'm making it known to all of them that now is the time to stand up and be recognized. You're either going to put an end to this, or you're not. And I'm taking names, and I will make it known to the world, to the American people, who stood and who didn't. And we there's a choice to be made, and that choice is either sit back and do nothing and make excuses and say, "Oh, it's complicated," or "We'll wait till that comes to session," or do something. So it's kind of at the point that we're at. I remind people every day that you know the offensive into Gaza City, the nightmare that we thought would never happen, that we would have a ceasefire before then, or that surely Israel would not go onto the ground and do an offensive into Gaza City and just wipe out everything. And they're doing it right now as we speak. Building after building after building after building is being dropped in Gaza City, and it's being dropped with American bombs. And Palestinians are being displaced from the north to the south into a concentration camp that's 2.7 kilometers in size. It's run by American contractors with guns. And in order to get into that concentration camp, you have to be biometrically enrolled. So, women, children, biometrically enrolled into a database that then goes straight to the Israeli government if they want to survive, if they want food. And in this concentration camp, there's no running water, there's no electricity, open sewage, no medical support. The last hospital, the Shifa Hospital in Gaza, is the last hospital standing, and that won't be there much longer. We are witnessing on live television every day in real time a genocide, a genocide that's being played out through famine, through disease, through indiscriminate bombing, through shooting, through dehumanization. And the United States, hand in glove, is a part of it. It's not something that we're just bystanders to, or something that we can look at back in history and say, oh, well, we were, everybody kind of had a role in it. No, right now we're getting to the point to where the United States stands alone with Israel in a very bad situation. We are on the wrong side of history. That's a fact. And so the message I'm carrying to every member lawmaker in the United States that I can talk to is that in in short order, it stand and be recognized on the right side or the wrong side of history, but pick a side and you will be judged. And if you think that APAC money, or you think that that politician or political games are going to pull you out of reelection, or we're facing political downfall? No. The American people will know. And I still believe that in this country, the American people have a vote and the American people have a say, and we, the people, mean something. And that's my hope and my effort, in doing everything that I can to make people aware. If I have anything to do with it, at the end of the day, there isn't an American that will be able to say that they didn't know. Well, we didn't know. You do know. You know. And what choice did you make? Wrong side of history or on the side of humanity? And that's the choice. This isn't politics. This isn't religion. This isn't race or ethnicity. This isn't what side of the aisle you sit on in the Congress. This is the side of humanity. Either you're on the side of humanity or you're not. Those are the choices. So that's why I'm here this week in the Capitol. I was here last week. This week I'm here as kind of a shared guest with Doctors Against Genocide. They're doing some work to try to pass House resolution for protecting of healthcare workers. As you know, healthcare workers are targeted in Gaza. And I'm hand in hand working with them from my experience in Gaza and what I witnessed to try to lend credence to that testimony. So that's why I'm up here this week. And again, like I said earlier, I'm on my best behavior. I'm not going to get arrested this time. But I even wore a suit and a tie. So trying to fit the part. But yeah, that's kind of my update and introduction. And I want to hand it over, so we can have some discussion.
Yes, please. So Karina has a first question, and then I have a question too. Karina, please.
Thanks. Hey, thanks, Tony, for joining us today. I'm curious about how you are. I don't know if you're choosing who you meet with in Congress or if you're being invited. And I'm bringing it up because last Friday, me and another colleague were able to have some face-to-face time with our Senator Jean Shaheen, Democrat, and high-ranking on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. And she said to us that it was useless to talk to her at all, and that the only way we're going to stop this is by, wrangling the Republicans. So again, my question is, how are you getting access? Are they inviting you, or are you knocking on doors? And are you talking to more Republicans or Democrats? Like, what kind of welcome are you getting?
A lot of knocking on doors, entering with a story to share, and no one's rejected me yet. Not a lot of Republicans will open their door, mostly Democrats. But yeah, I will not disagree with Senator Shaheen's the kind of the intent of what she's saying, that it's useless to talk to her. I will disagree with it in function, is that every voice matters, especially in these hallways where people talk and discussions are had. Politics doesn't happen in the committee rooms. That's theater. Politics happens in these hallways where handshakes are made and discussions are had, and people really have a conversation about, man, that really is messed up. Like, what we're doing there is like things that you can't say in the committee meeting because you have to follow protocol, or you can't make APAC mad, or you can't make your sponsor upset. But this is where those things happen, where those conversations happen. So she absolutely is the person to talk to, who can then talk to others. And Senator Shaheen was in the committee room that I was in when I stood up. She was sitting right there, right next to Senator Risch. And I said, "You have an obligation to the Constitution. Follow your oath." And then Senator Risch said, "Off to jail." And the police took me away. And she sat there. Every voice matters. Anybody, look at me. I'm a nobody. I am no one. I am a retired military officer who, prior to going working for the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, was working in Lowe's Home and Garden, tending plants, being a stay-at-home dad. I'm a nobody. Every voice matters. That is what the opposition wants you to think, is that your voice doesn't matter. Every voice matters, especially someone in her position. Now, can she turn the tide or shift how an HR vote or how a Senate vote will go? No, not by herself, but she has influence and she should use it.
Yep. Agreed. But thank you for sharing that note that she was sitting right there.
Looked right at her.
Yeah.
Thank you. Tom, and then I'll have a question after Tom, and then anybody else, you're welcome to raise questions too, and then we can continue to have this discussion. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Anthony, for coming and talking to us and for the work that you're doing. It's great. I help run an organization called Tech for Palestine, and we do a lot of advocacy work for the tech around the tech, relationship. So obviously, I know a little bit about what's happening in Gaza in terms of the relationship between the big tech and like the AI and automated weapon systems and everything that they're using in Gaza. I'm just wondering if you have any insight into that, how that has been impactful.
Well, it's no secret that the Israeli Defense Forces, the ground forces, the air forces, that they have the capability that they have because of us. I mean, that's not a secret. We know that, they know that. They've even said that. Smotrich has even said before that they can't do what they do without the United States, and that the United States is with them. So that's a fact. So when you think about that Israel is not a NATO ally. Israel is not even an ally technically. We have a close partnership. They're not an ally. So they don't have the ability to stock NATO weaponry through military foreign sales as a NATO country would do. So we give it directly to them, directly. So the guided munitions, the JBUs, the JDAMs that are taking down building after building after building, those come from us, equipped with our technology. So are we enabling it? Yes, we are. Down in the south, where the new encampment is being located, everybody has to enroll biometrically, and they're doing that through legacy systems, the same systems that I used in Iraq or Afghanistan to biometrically enroll the Taliban or Al Qaeda is what they're using there. The same legacy systems that the database is then controlled by the IDF. So I am not necessarily a tech savvy or really into the technical or weaponry aspects, but I do know that it's being leveraged at scale, and that they bring some of their own to the party, pretty high end capability. But we also provide a lot of it, and if we're not providing the direct capability, we're providing the ability for that capability to function. So that I do know. In terms of what exactly that is, I don't know.
Thank you. And I had the same question actually as Manal. So soon after your first couple of interviews came out, maybe like a week after, a news story broke how this biker group called the Infidels is major part of the GHF operation. And I guess we were both kind of curious, like this very clearly, openly Islamophobic group of people. Like, did you run into them? What was your interaction like with them? Whatever you were able to share, like.
Oh, I ran into them. They were my bosses. So they were the UG Solutions contract was primarily manned by recruits from the Infidels Motorcycle Club. If you see the BBC piece that just came out early this morning, it goes into clear detail on it. The UG Solutions employee that is in charge of the entire armed security contract in Gaza is the national chapter president of the Infidels Motorcycle Club. So he recruited all of the leadership and most of the men from that club. And don't have to take my word for it. Just go Google them and look at their webpage, where you see their anti-Islamic, Islamophobic rhetoric. their charter as a club, their existence as a club is to fight the global war against jihad and to eradicate the world of Muslims. If that's not anti-Islamic, I don't know what is. But to have an organization that has that mentality, that's in Gaza, responsible for feeding people at the end of a gun, and then you see how many deaths happen around these sites, shouldn't surprise anybody. And it's not. It seems like fact is stranger than fiction. It's a fact. It's real.
And like, did you have any run-ins with these people? Like, like let's say, like when you were working with some of these people, like, what were their behaviors like? Like, hey, when you're working with somebody, you kind of get to know them.
Yeah.
Sometimes even
Yeah, they
better
were
than
they were
your
what you would
family.
expect out of an individual that calls themselves an infidel member of a motorcycle club. They referred to the Palestinians as animals, or as zombies, or as garbage, or as the fuckers, so to speak. Excuse my language. The mentality of shoot first, ask questions later. That they're not human and they shouldn't be treated as such. Um, yeah, a very um, inhumane type of attitude for an organization that's supposed to be providing humanitarian aid. It was appalling. I've never I myself am not part of organizations like that. I've never been part of any um, fraternal clubs or fraternities or anything like that. Um, I think that, the only organization I think I belong to is like I'm a Cub Scout den leader in my son's Boy Scout troop. So that culture was new to me, and to be honest, it was quite shocking.
All right. And they have published a lot of evidence themselves, which show like all the brutality that GHF has participated in. It's been well reported. Um,
Yes,
some of it through videos from Palestinians, some of it videos from themselves.
yes,
Um, and obviously, the Israeli lobby and their PR machinery is trying to discredit you. Like, when were you able to like collect video evidence, text evidence, in addition to your own testimony?
yes. All of the videos that you've seen in the various interviews I've done, where at the intersection of Site 3 and the Morocco corridor, where you see Palestinians lying in the dirt and bullets flying in at them. The videos that you see of the UG contractors on site shooting at unarmed Palestinians and then cheering about it. The videos you see of UG Solutions contractors machine gun firing into a crowd and throwing stun grenades. Those are all my videos. I've videoed all of those, and the pictures and the
Oh,
videos. Those
you
are
were.
all mine. So
Okay.
um, yeah, the the opposition against me, it comes down to one simple thing. What are you going to believe? They've said things like, I beat my wife and that we're divorced. My wife and I have been married for 18 years. Not true. They say things like, oh, he was kicked out of the army for this and that. I served 25 years in the United States Army. I commissioned from the United States Military Academy at West Point, and I retired with an honorable discharge, with honors. They can they can say whatever they want to make up. It's a matter of what you're going to believe. But at the end of the day, I could be the biggest piece of shit to walk the planet. It doesn't change the fact that war crimes are being committed. That changes nothing. There's
Right.
video, there's photos, there's my testimony, there's testimony from doctors, UN workers, scholars, witnesses, Palestinians, even the IDF. The IDF themselves have come out in testimony from soldiers that were in Gaza to say that they shoot at civilians, or that they target civilians, or that they were ordered to shoot at civilians.
Right.
Me, if they want to smear me and defame me, I could care less. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care what they think. I don't need their approval. I'm at the age now where I have all the friends I'm gonna have. My family loves me. I don't care what they say. They can say that, I have three legs and I'm a communist. I don't care. They can say whatever they want. It doesn't change the truth. So if people are going to allow that type of distraction distract from the truth, then sorry, you can believe what you want.
Question from my friend Gardy. Please. Gardy, you're on mute.
Yes, I am. So thank you for everything you're doing. It's quite powerful the way you say it. Let me ask you a question. So, as a three-legged communist, so you have the strong ability to deal with that. Now, I fully expect, and you probably fully expect, that this will at some point, in order to get to you, they will get to people in your surroundings, people you care about, people just like you're able to take it. How are you preparing for the next layer when they go after your perimeter? As wife, kids, and whoever you care about.
Well, my wife and I are very blessed. Blessed because we sacrificed. My wife served a long and successful career in the United States Army to where she gets her pension for the rest of her life and her VA for the rest of her life. I served a long and honorable career and was wounded in combat and have 100% disability. I get pension for the rest of my life and my VA for the rest of my life. We don't need anybody in terms of I have no master. I don't belong to any organizations. I don't run for politics. I have no social media. They can go after me on social media all they want. Guess what? I'm not seeing it. Don't care. My community and where I live, people support me. People know what values are in my group of friends and the people that I live with and the people that I know. My family supports me. My wife supports me. My we're we're there's no daylight between us in terms of this effort. So if they want to influence all my friends or try to isolate me from society, fine with me. Better for me actually, because then I can enjoy fishing in the backyard and watching the Golden Girls without people interrupting me. I'd love that actually.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I believe Colin has had his hand up, and then I lost the order of which order the questions came in. Sorry about that. Colin, please.
Hey, Salman, thank you. Thanks, Anthony, for everything that you're doing. Super impressed. Watching everything that happens makes my blood boil, and, I can't imagine being professional and, calm and interacting with the people that could actually make a difference. Really impressive. I don't really have a question. I just wanted you to comment on this. It seems to me that we're kind of like, we just started learning chess and we're playing against, Zionists who are chess grandmasters, right? They're just, they were probably planning what's going on today 2 years ago, right? They've gotten our politicians in a cynical trap where they got people like Sunak and Biden to fly to Tel Aviv and to make a commitment. They got people to repeat nonsensical things like Israel has a right to defend itself. They keep repeating that 10/7 is the worst attack on Jews since the Holocaust. So it's not so much about objective, international law and the Geneva Convention and right and wrong. It seems to me that the game they're playing, it's more about commitment, emotions, momentum. They've gotten our politicians like Keir Starmer, PM of the UK. He's a human rights lawyer, right? And he's like gotten caught into this trap where they're unable to do these U-turns. People like Cory Booker that should be on our side, he still wants to keep sending arms to Israel. And there's this word friar, the F-R-E-I-E-R, that Zionists use, which means sucker. And I think they're looking at all of us and all of our politicians and all of the West as suckers to be manipulated. That's it. Thanks again.
Yeah, my dad told me when I was young, be careful who you go to bed with because you got to wake up in the morning and see them. That's what these politicians have gotten themselves into. Bad decision making. The roosters have come home. The hens have come home to roost, so to speak. And it's sad. It's really sad. These politicians that I talk to, I can see the look on their face where they know it's wrong and they just can't say it because they're being controlled by someone else. That's a sad place to be in life. That is a sad place to be in life, to be controlled by someone else, not just in your actions. You know, I spent 25 years in the military. I was controlled every day of my life, but they didn't control my ethics. They didn't control my morals. And when someone presents something to you that's so egregious and you can see it, children dying, and you can't say anything against it because someone else controls you, that's a sad place to be. And I can't change that. The only people that can change that is them. And that's not going to come through embarrassment or loss of votes or loss of a district or loss of money. It's going to come through just a moment of accepting that humanity is worth more than whatever it is they're getting. And I don't know what they're getting. I don't know who's on payroll or who's got videos of who doing what. I don't know. But
Have you
at the end of
found?
the day, it's sad.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Have you found a single strategy or a line of argument that works better than others?
Um, yeah. Something that I've said more recently is that you, I mean, like I said today when I talked to a congressional staffer and they kind of gave me the runaround, I said, okay, here's what I have to say. I'm taking names. The world will know. Every interview and every podcast I do, I will list the names of people that I talk to and where they stand. The world will know. You can't hide. You can't hide behind your non-vote or your absentee registration or whatever they do in the Senate when they don't want to commit to something. No, I will tell the American people, here's who I talked to. Here's who did nothing. Here's who has a heart. And at the end of the day, maybe that does nothing to change the politics in our country. But you don't. I'm not doing this because I have some drive or desire, or because I'm brave, or because I'm courageous, or I feel like I have a goal. This is humanity. I wouldn't be a human being if I just sat back and watched this happen without saying something, whether it changes anything or not. I surely hope it does, but I can't control the outcome. But to sit back and do nothing, I couldn't live with myself. And at the end of the day, all in, I mean, we all got to look ourselves in the mirror. We all got to, you know, I've said this and I'll say this, that what I've said to congressmen before is that, history will judge. And I don't mean history years from now. I'm talking about within the next year. Think about it. How fast communication and how fast secrets of the world come out, to where one generation ago, my grandparents lived through, the war that gave us never again, never again, never again, never again, never again. My grandparents are older than the state of Israel. And yet here we are doing it again, right in front of our eyes. We know the accountability that came after World War II and the admonishment. That will come again for this too. It will come. The world will not sit as an entire group of people are wiped off the face of the earth without consequence. The world will judge. And I'll make sure when that day comes that as far as within my power, that anybody and everybody will know who stood on the side of right and who stood on the side of wrong. If I can't get them to the side of right, that's a personal decision. And I like I said, I feel sorry for them.
Question from Professor Farsakh, please. If you're speaking, you're on mute. Oh, you're on mute, yeah.
Sorry. Thank you very much, Anthony. I am interested to know what brought you into GHF in the first place. But also, my other question was that there's been the viral video of the Palestinian kid kissing your hand because you gave him food. Now the Israelis are claiming that he wasn't shot and that he was taken to Gaza. Do you have any information on that? Because they're exploiting that to
Yeah.
discredit you.
I would just ask you, who did I accuse of shooting children?
Yeah, the Israelis.
And who is saying they didn't do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, what can I tell you? They can say whatever they want. The boy that they showed in that video that said, "Oh, here's Amir," you could. Ray Charles could see that those two don't match.
Oh, okay, that's a question.
They're not even close. It just goes to further show the racist attitude of the GHF in saying that all Palestinian boys look alike. Surely the American people will be fooled. People that don't even know of the Palestinian problem look at that and they say, bullshit, get out of here. They don't look nothing alike. And they don't. It's laughable. It's laughable. You know what it reminds me of? You know, when I was a young, about to be commissioned as an infantry officer, and I watched the invasion of Iraq, and there was this spokesman. His name was Baghdad Bob. He was on TV every day. He was the spokesman for the Iraqi Republican Guard, for the Iraqi government. And every day, oh, the American pigs, they are not advancing. They are not anywhere near Baghdad. Day after day. And then one day he's sitting there in Baghdad at the crossed swords at the Iranian Revolutionary Monument, where I have a picture taken of me. There are no Americans in Baghdad. And right outside the window across the street is the 3rd Infantry Division with a tank. And the tank fires, and he looks back, and and he's like, okay, there are some Americans in Baghdad. That's exactly what they're doing. They've already done oh, Amir is alive back on the 29th of July when they try to discredit me. And now they're just doing it again. Think about who is on the other side, who's opposing me. The Mossad, the CIA, the IDF, millions and millions of dollars being spent. And that's the best they could come up with?
And joining the
I could dress up a kid for Halloween and have him look closer to Amir. Come on now.
How was GHF presented to you when you applied? How did you join them?
I didn't know anything about GHF. I knew nothing about them. I didn't work for GHF. I worked for the subcontractor UG Solutions as an armed security contractor. I knew nothing of GHF. The first word I heard of GHF is on the 26th of May when we started operations. The chairman of the GHF stepped down and said, "I can't be a part of this anymore." That's the first time I'd heard of GHF. And I was like, "What's GHF?" And they're like, "Oh, that's the people above us here." And I'm like, "Oh, the guy in charge just quit? Oh shit, what are we gonna do?" Like, that was my introduction to what GHF was. So I went into it very naive, and I went into it not for the money. I'm a retired pensioner. I'm not doing it for the money. I don't need the adventure. I've been to war 12 times, 4 different wars. I fought in Iraq and Syria and Afghanistan and Tajikistan and Southern Philippines. I have a Purple Heart. I've seen plenty of war. I went because I truly believed that the United States was gonna try to feed people. That's why I went. I thought that we were actually going there to feed people, and I was wrong.
I don't want to take too much, but this is my last question. Would you agree that the way it was set up was not set up it was mostly set up for security reasons, and it wasn't set up to actually be an efficient way to deliver aid?
I want to make something clear, and this is somewhat of a misnomer. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, Safe Reach Solutions, and UG Solutions, and the plan that is in Gaza for the sites and the distribution and the flow of people worked perfectly. Beautifully crafted plan. And it worked perfectly. And it's working perfectly. It's a plan for genocide. It was never a plan to feed people. It was never a plan to provide humanitarian aid. How do you provide humanitarian aid, yet in the plan for it, you provide no water? How do you provide humanitarian aid when all you're providing is dried food, parcel goods with no water to cook it, and the amount that you're giving them is only equal to one meal every 2 days at 200 kilocalorie. Their plan is working perfectly as they planned it for a genocide.
Thank you. Cecile, please.
Hi, thanks, Anthony, for being here. Real quick, so I did watch the first half of your 2-hour Tucker Carlson interview earlier on. Also your first Breaking Points one, and I'm currently watching the one that you just did with Ryan and Crystal, where they also interviewed the GHF spokesman.
Oh, that's a great one. That's a great one. Man, GHF's worst enemy is themselves.
Yeah, that it's terrible. I didn't get to your part yet where they interview you, but I mean, it's just you don't even need to speak. Like he just kind of incriminates himself in
He
that.
does it
But
all himself. I sat
yeah,
in the back room on mute listening, and I just thought to myself, you don't need to interview me now. When the enemy's making a mistake, don't interrupt them.
yeah, it's pretty bad. But like I guess my question is like, so I mean, I think it's safe to say that you're what many would consider like a true patriot. You're fully decorated, Purple Heart, Green Beret, 25 years, multiple deployments. Um, you know, y- I think you truly believe that America is good, right?
Of course
And
I do.
right, and I also assume that you weren't on social media earlier on before all this happened, before
I'm not
you
on it
had
now.
it's probably a good thing. Um, and so maybe I don't know, you didn't see what was happening in Gaza as many of us were 2 years ago earlier on.
Yeah.
I and what I see you doing now, first with the whistleblowing and doing like, I don't know, what is it, like 60 interviews to help spread awareness of what's going on. And your voice does matter. I would say that your voice matters a lot in this. And you're not a nobody. I'm a nobody. You're not a nobody. Like your voice, I think, reaches audiences that many of us probably wouldn't be able to reach. And now you're disrupting Congress. So I think it's safe to kind of say in a way that you've been sort of like radicalized in a way in support of Congress, in support of Palestine. I hate using that word, but I'm just saying like in a way, like so I'm wondering, my question is like, I'm always trying to think of ways like how do you reach the people who haven't been reached yet? And I'm wondering what it was for you that that turned that switch for you. Like I know you saw on the ground and in Gaza what was happening. So of course you see it there, but I'm thinking like specifics, like was it the emotional connection that you had with people on the ground there, like like seeing them as humans, and then you know I guess that's kind of my question. I'm wondering how can we use that in our strategies to like reach more people outside of our bubble.
That question is something that I've been reflecting and journaling. I've been doing a lot of journaling lately and just kind of reflecting and thinking about a lot of things. I have fought in a lot of wars, and as I reflect, was I in combat fighting against people that were trying to kill me as we were trying to kill them? Sure, but for what? I don't know. I went all over Iraq, from the south to the north, from the west to the east, and I never saw one weapon of mass destruction, except the ones we dropped on them. Went all over Afghanistan, and after we defeated we pushed Al Qaeda out of the northern Afghanistan. We decided we're just going to overthrow the entire government and fix Afghanistan. I don't know why. They didn't want us there. In Syria and fighting ISIS, I mean, we cut the head off the beast, but then 3 heads grew. And what's happening in Gaza, that will give birth to ISIS 3.0. It may not be a Shifa Sufi Islamic type of organization, but it will be violent because we took everything from them. We took everything from them. And I'm not a radical. I I think I'm normal. I think this is what our Constitution mandates of us. When our founding fathers signed that declaration, actually on the 17th of September, it's coming up, 17 September, when Benjamin Franklin walked out of the Pennsylvania Constitution House, and that woman asked him, "What do we have?" And he said, "A republic, if you can keep it." This is not a democracy. And I don't say that in a bad way. This is a republic. And in a republic, the people have the power. And we have given that up. We have given that up. They didn't take it from us. We've given it up. There was a time in this country, there was some people that I knew that a couple hundred years ago didn't want to put up with tyranny and people making decisions on their behalf without their say. That's what our country's founded on. Me coming to Congress to petition and protest my government, that's not radical. That's not radical. That is the absolute minimum requirement of every citizen. It's in the Constitution. It's what our amendment rights, our constitutional rights are founded on. It's the first one. It's not just freedom of speech, it's freedom to protest and freedom to petition your government. That's what I'm doing. I am here to petition as a citizen. I have a grievance. You are my elected official. You will listen to me. If you don't, well, then you're the one breaking the law, not me. So what I'm doing is not radical. I am not in this for the politics. I have no social media. I'm not doing it for tweets or MySpace likes or whatever the kids are into nowadays, or writing a book or nothing. It is a moral obligation. If I was walking down the street and I saw someone dying, I would stop and help them. That's not brave. That's the minimum expectation of a human being. What I'm doing and speaking out against what's happening is what I think is the minimum expectation of an American. If we don't protect our rights, who will? You think they are? You think the people in Congress with their pinstripe suits and their $400,000 a year paychecks are going to protect our Constitution? Think again. So I'm here just doing what I feel is my civic duty, and that's it. I'm not brave.
Thank you. Karina, please.
Thanks. I asked this question to some friends yesterday, and I'm wondering what your answer might be. But my thought is, why is nobody acting to stop Israel? And in my head, it's about the fact that they have nuclear weapons. But my friends who have been advocates for decades longer than I have think it's just the colonial mindset and the self-interest. And for me, that's really hard to accept. Whereas the thought of nuclear weapons being launched is an actual fear that we could have, and something that I feel Israel is just wouldn't be surprised if they did. So do you have any thoughts based on your experience as to why nobody is stopping them?
I think less so than the threat of nuclear weapons or the threat of what Israel may or may not do. I think it comes down to a very, not entirely, but in part, a very simple human instinct: power. Power. The people in power in this country have power by the people there being in power. Look at what we did yesterday. Israel flew 6 F-35 fighters through Jordanian airspace across the entire country of Saudi Arabia, bombed a negotiation party in Qatar, flew back, and before the jets landed, Netanyahu was having a ticker tape parade celebrating, "We did it, we did it, we did it," not even hiding it. Who do you think refueled those F-35s over Saudi Arabia? You can't make that trip in one tank. We did. We did. It's power. Power corrupts. Money, power, influence, control. I think there's elements of racism and bigotry. I think there's definitely a lot of radical religious ideas. I mean, Mike Huckabee is a self-proclaimed Christian Zionist. That's who we have as the ambassador to Israel, a Christian Zionist. I didn't even know what Christian Zionism was until about a week ago. Yeah, I live under a rock. I thought it was like slander or just some term that people said. I was like, hey, let's not be rude now. And they're like, no, that's a real thing. Like that's actually a thing. I'm like, oh, what? It is? Like people identify as that? It's crazy. It's nuts. Like, it is nuts. And it has to do with power, ideology, and unfortunately, some of those zealot ideologues come right here out of the United States, which it's it's scary. But I don't know what it is. I ask myself that every day. What is it? When I look at somebody and I show them pictures of dead babies, not from Hamas, not from, some Politburo that took them. I took those. Here it is. An American soldier. Graduated from West Point, spent 25 years in the Army. America made me. And here I am telling you what I saw. And you don't believe it. Why? Why do you look away from dead children? Why do you look away from people that are starving? Why do you look away from bombs being dropped in an entire city that's turning an entire city into rubble before our eyes? Why do you look away from that? I don't know. I really don't.
Ted, please. Ted is also a fellow vet. Please.
Yeah, Anthony, it was a pleasure to meet you 10 days ago in Detroit. We didn't speak much. You're doing a great job. You're shining the light where the darkness doesn't want it shown. You're very well spoken. You're willing to protest. And all those things are contributing to waking up, following along with the question from Cecile. Keep it up. Keep doing what you're doing. I've also wondered, and we're all learning, we're all overcoming this brainwashing. And the latest statistic that I heard is there's up to 40 or 50 million Christian fundamentalist evangelical Zionists in the southeast of the United States. And one of the challenges that I have found is that nobody along the East Coast wants to talk about this. And I'm always looking for ways to broach the subject with people. One of the things that I'm doing that I'll let you know about and others, and I'll end with this, is in 2 weeks, I'll be speaking to this group. And the theme, and it's not for everyone, but the theme is, instead of protesting Congress, run for Congress. And there could be a few people, a handful, or it could be thousands that are running and challenging the congressmen and women and the senators, because their thoughts are they can take these bribery funds from the lobbyists and there are no consequences. But those who have studied this realize they're complicit in genocide, war crimes, and murder. I'll end with that.
Thank you, Ted.
Yeah, it's one of those things to where, I would say, take the power back. And I don't mean in the streets with violence. I mean through elections. Run for elections. When you say I don't have a voice, or you say I'll never win, or you say I can't do it, that's how they win. That's how they get reelected year after year after year, because they convince everybody that they can't be beat. They can be beat. Grassroots work can beat. This is still America. This is still America. This is the America that that we fought a civil war because of we couldn't agree, and then we formed a more perfect union for us and our posterity. Like, this is that country. We're not gonna.
Yeah,
The only way they're gonna win is if we let them.
The concept that I have is it's not even necessary to be elected. What you're doing is you're putting them on notice. You know what they're up to, and you're spreading it among your neighbors and anyone that's willing to listen.
Well, yeah, I think that I think awareness is the first part. I think that, sadly, and this is just the we don't it's kind of a double-edged sword. We don't want our Americans sitting at home worrying about war and worrying about putting food on the table. And we in our country, we've grown to a level of complacency that we enjoy, but it's time to wake up, because in those hours of sleep, they've taken it. and they've taken it. And as we're waking up, we're like, where did our power as we the people go? Oh, we just gave it away. Well, shit, it's time to take it back. You're right.
Camille, please.
If someone's speaking, I can't hear.
Camille, if you're speaking, we can't hear you. Maybe we can go to Peoria. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name.
Oh, that was perfect. Hello, Lieutenant Colonel Aguilar. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. Really appreciate it and respect what you're doing. I have actually, my first question was, are you going to write a book? But you kind of shot that out of the water. I thought that was a dead giveaway. My question for you is, if you could, how long do you think you spent in Gaza? And do you, and I know this is a difficult question, but how frequently do you recall witnessing atrocities? Was it a weekly thing, a daily thing, an hourly thing?
So in the relative amount of time overall, I was not in Gaza very long, but you know, it's the old proverb, you know, you don't have to drink the entire ocean to know it's salty. You know, I went into Gaza. I was, you know, in the very, very beginning when we went into Israel on the 19th of May. I was one of the very first into Gaza on the 24th of May. And then the 24th of May through the 13th of June, I was in Gaza every single day, working at all of the sites, working at both of the operation sites, working at the distribution centers. So I saw a lot of it. And I witnessed atrocities every day that I was there, whether it was indiscriminate shooting, whether it was the displacement of the population into an area that, you know, for example, sites 1, 2, and 3 in the south, because they were established south of the Morag corridor. You, if a Palestinian came to the site to get food, they couldn't go home because once you passed that military corridor, you couldn't go back north. So forced displacement. The way that they were herded into the sites by the thousands with intentionally not enough food on the site to feed that many, forcing fighting and rioting and stampeding. It was all by design. Witnessed it every day that I was there. And then the war started. The Iran-Israel war started, and we were all kind of stuck. So I was there till the end of June. June 26th is when I left. So May 19th to June 26th.
In your view, who do you believe were the primary perpetrators? Was it the IOF or was it the infidels? Or and also, do you feel like, from your experience, were these acts of volition, or do you feel like this was this came down a chain of command, like they were instructed to do these things?
From the IDF perspective, a lot of the shooting, a lot of the a lot of the shooting and bombing obviously was from the IDF. I think that there's probably some within the IDF where it was of their own volition and their desire to kill. On the very first day that I went into Gaza, on the 24th of May, I was doing a survey at site number 1 to see the lay of the land, so to speak. And there was an IDF infantry patrol on foot that was near the site, and they came by the site, and I was standing on a berm, and they were standing below me, and they looked up and they're like, "Oh, are you one of the Americans? One of the guys that was in the IDF?" You know, a lot of the IDFs, there's a lot of Americans in the IDF. There was a guy there, and he talked perfect English with a Boston accent. I was like, it kind of threw me off. And I was like, he was like, "Oh, are y'all here doing the food distribution?" And I was like, "Are you in the IDF?" And he was like, "Yeah." I was like, "You sound like you're from like." He's like, "Oh, I sound like I'm from Boston." And I'm like, "Yeah." And he was like, "I am. I'm over here." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I asked him, and he said, "Why are y'all over here feeding our enemies?" And I was like, "Well, we're bringing food to the Palestinians." "Yeah, you're feeding our enemies." So there was definitely that that mindset and that mentality within some. I do think that there were some that did not share that mentality. That the orders to kill came from their chain of command. And this is not me making this up. Israeli Defense Force IDF officers and IDF soldiers from Gaza have whistleblown or reported on this, that they were ordered by their commanders to shoot at the civilians, that that their commanders were ordered by hire to tell their soldiers to do it. So this isn't me just conspiracy theorizing here. This came from them themselves. So from my position, it's like, okay, you have my witness of seeing it, you have the witness of the Palestinians from receiving it, you have the doctors in the hospitals that received mass casualty incidents, MCIs. Every day we did distribution from their locations, seeing gunshot victims. And now you have the IDF saying that they did it. What more needs to be said? Who else needs to say that it happened?
And these I'm very but the infidels is just it's such a complicated thing to wrap my head around, that they would be put in a position like that. Did you feel it was the same situation with GHF, that they were also there was some instruction, but there were also some loose cannons acting on their own? Absolutely.
I think there were some of us there that were there really thinking that, hey, we're here to help, here to try to do good.
Sure.
I think there was probably some there that really didn't care. They really didn't give 2 cents either way. They were just there to make money. It's a lot of money to make when you're making $1,500 a day. It's easy to not care when you're making that much money. And then there were some there that I know, that part of the Infidels Motorcycle Club, where their presence there was seen as a pilgrimage. They called it that. A crusader pilgrimage.
If I may, just one last question. It bugs me a lot, because both the IOF and the infidels seem to really, at a personal level for them, have a hatred towards the Palestinians. More than half the casualties are Palestinian children.
Yes.
And I just can't wrap my head around, how is it that in the lineup for food, they allowed a Palestinian child to cross security without engaging the child? Because I've heard stories. I mean, you've been in Iraq, you've been in Afghanistan, and I know there's been instances during those 2 wars where children were sacrificed, using them as suicide bombers. So it was really shocking to me to see that the infidels and the IDF would allow a child to get that close without deploying any type of security measures.
So the thing is, at the distribution sites themselves, all of the civilians that come to the sites are cleared up at the checkpoints before they're released by the IDF. In my entire time, and I served at all 4 sites throughout Gaza, never once, not one time, did I ever see an armed Palestinian with anything, pistol, rifle. Never saw anybody with a Hamas t-shirt, or anybody that came up to me and said, hey, here's my Hamas business card, call me if you need anything. Never witnessed any of that. It was all civilians. The children at times were targeted. There's testimony of it from the IDF. I once witnessed on June 8th in the control center, a senior IDF officer direct his snipers to shoot children off of a berm because he said it was a threat. So yeah, it's an evil ideology. The infidels Motorcycle Club. You can Google them. It's easy. It doesn't even take that much of research. Google them. And when you go to their webpage, it says that they're veterans, that in order to be a part of their club, you got to be a veteran. You got to own an American motorcycle. You got to have certain amount of experience or whatever. But they stand to fight against jihad worldwide and for the elimination of all Muslims. That's what they stand for. So when you have someone that has this ideology and you put them in Gaza with a gun, with no accountability and oversight and impunity, what do you think they're going to do?
I just have one final yes or no question, please. If would you, after your experience in Gaza, seeing what the Israelis are doing, seeing the manifestation of Zionism, would you consider yourself an anti-Zionist?
Yes.
Great. Right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Very insightful questions, Puria. So we are 2 minutes over our time. Anthony, we want to be respectful for your time. I know you have a very busy day. Are you okay to take maybe 1 or 2 more questions? If
I'll do one more because I gotta get down the hall here. I have a 2:10 and I gotta walk about 40 feet. So I'll take 1 more.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. So Simon, you're the lucky last question asker.
Thanks. So thanks, Anthony, for your time. I'll try to be brief, and thanks for everything that you have done. I've heard that you have made 60 interviews, so I think I only saw 59. Apologize for that. So first of all, I want to share that, so we talked about Christian Zionist and share that, Johnny Moore, the executive chairman of GHF, I think the guy disappeared. So I don't know if he's...
Yeah, he's been off the radar for the last month. I don't know.
Ever
Maybe
since
maybe I scared him.
Yeah, ever since your best friend Chapin, he's...
I've noticed that a lot of people in the GHF have a extreme allergic reaction to the truth. So whenever the truth comes out, they all get sick.
Yeah, so true. So the main question I have is, who would you say is the masterminds behind GHF? Because we knew for example that the BCG was involved in the whole development of that plan and also displacement of Gazans, etc. And we have Phil Rayleigh, who used to work for BCG up until the end of 2024. Safe Reach Solutions. So you explained yesterday in the interview on Breakpoint that you have GHF, that is actually a shell company, and then you have SRS, Safe Reach Solutions, and then you have UG Solutions. And so you were working for UG Solutions, but the company that was actually getting money from the IDF was Safe Reach. And so
That's right.
Phil Rayleigh is the CEO of Safe Reach. So that company was created in, I think, November 2024. So it really sounds like SRS was created only to well-serve the GHF project. And so that comes quite a lot. And we also
GHF was created to put a nice little camouflage over the whole process, being a nonprofit. SRS was created for GHF. GHF was created for SRS. They're symbiotic in their creation. UG Solutions popped into the scene is kind of like the guys that will do anything. No one else. There are many other contractors like UG Solutions that are capable of this contract. No one else would take it. We had no life insurance coverage. Nobody else would take this contract when they saw the liability. They were like, UG Solutions was the only ones that would do it. So, of course, a bunch of anti-Muslim profiteers who are going to make $1,500 a day would gladly go do it. No one else would. So, what came first, the chicken or the egg? I don't know, but I do know that the chicken and the egg are together in the hen house, and they cannot be separated. They're one and the same.
And what about other companies that we also hear a lot about, like Orbis? We have McNally.
Yeah, so I know Orbis is part of the AI machine learning intelligence database or background to the data collection. And the vice president for operations of Safe Reach Solutions, a woman named Jennifer Counter, was the former vice president of operations for Orbis. And then you have the Boston Consulting Group. And I know there's some connections between the Boston Consulting Group and Sentinel Foundation, who is a precursor half owned by the people that own UGS. But as right now, the way it looks to me, it's like Enron in the final days. People are like shredding documents, disappearing. You can know like who's in charge. Like it's like they left the secretary at the front office and said, "Hey, deal with this." And that's Chapin Fay. Poor guy's got to carry the weight. But everyone else has disappeared. Like I haven't heard from Johnny Moore in like over a month. The guy Jameson Giovanni, who's the CEO of UG Solutions, he never came to visit us because he can't leave the country because he has an awaiting felony for DUI hit and run in Mecklenburg County. So I don't know what happened to him. Maybe he's in jail. I don't know. It's weird. It is weird, and it stinks. And eventually the truth will come out.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And we also, Johnny Moore disappear, and then we saw John Ackrey pop up out of nowhere.
Yeah, and now he's disappeared again. He popped up, took some heat, and then disappeared.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot for your answers.
All right. Thank you so much, Anthony. Thank you for being here. It was an honor to host you. And we are going to continue watching your amazing advocacy with lots of pride. And please feel free to reach out to us if you ever need support of any kind.
Just keep pushing against the lies. My wife and I are happily married. never had issues in terms of, what the things that they're saying. I was an honorable officer and served 25 years and was honorably discharged with honors and promoted to senior ranks. Pretty upstanding citizen until my arrest in the halls of Congress last week. I've never even had a speeding ticket. So, I'm just trying to spread the truth. And of course, those that don't want the truth to come out are going to oppose it. Of course they are. Of course. So when you see these things that come out, just take a second look like, oh, we found Amir. Oh, did you? Because that kid doesn't look anything like him. Anybody can see that. It's laughable. So call him out on that crap.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Thank you so much. Go.
Thank you.
Go make a ruckus at the Congress. Thank you. Have a great day. Thank you, everyone else, for being here. I appreciate all of you. For those of you who are still here, next week, we're going to have our friend, a Canadian-British friend, John Turnbull. He's working on an initiative to precisely locate the weapons manufacturers and which bombs are being made where in America, in UK, in Canada, at which specific locations, and identifying the locations of those factories more precisely, whether they're in Michigan or London, Ontario, or Repentigny, Quebec, or in Florida and other places. And so looking forward to that call. And for those who want to join next week, we'll see you next week. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hard to have a good day after all that. Oof.
Forgive me, folks. Is there a way to have access to the recorded video?
Good question. I'm going to ask Solomon myself. I'd like to get that myself. So I'll see what he can do.
Who would I contact?
Solomon.
Is there an email or something?
You probably got an invite from somebody.
I just found a friend of mine sent me a link. Actually, I just went right to the website. I guess I can just find it on the website.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too.